Today, we have the honor of sharing our time with someone who is just an incredible soul. She is a founder of Vibrant Consultancy, and she has single-handedly changed millions of lives over the past 15 years as an incredible human being herself. I'd like to welcome Jo Morris-Benishu. Jo, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you, Lori. And it's so great to be here and us doing this together. So I'm excited to see what we're going to talk about.
So, when this project started, I went to Jo and I'm like, I have this idea because she and I are really in alignment with, it starts with one person to make the change. And you have been doing this for so long. And now you've been focused on more the executive realm. You go into corporations and try to make the workplace life balance just better for people. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I just want to backtrack so you can get a little bit of my story of how I even got here. And so I've had many careers, but 3 prominent careers so far. And one was in the business world. I was a marketing VP and I worked in the publishing industry. And then I worked in the entertainment industry. I was part of an executive team who built an entertainment firm here in the US. And then I was on a coaching team where I became one of the top seminar leaders for the biggest self-development course there is in the world. So I've gone to the top very successfully in really educating, impacting, and empowering people. Now, every time I've done that, though, I've sacrificed my time and relationship to really see what I needed as I built my career. And Lori, I'm just going to go for this, but a couple of years ago, I became full-blown menopause, and I had to take on my health and my wellness in a way so I could perform, which is the beginning of this whole conversation.
Yeah. And, Jo and I know each other personally, professionally, because she has supported me with, as everybody knows, most people know, that I'm going through ovarian suppression. So for me, I am now menopausal, drug induced. And so I struggled a lot. So Jo has been a really amazing advocate for my own health and keeping me on track. So when she says that, it's no BS. Like, this woman that we are listening to today, and I know I'm gushing, but I just love her so, has really impacted, millions of lives, including my own. And so now part of what you're doing, Jo, is like, you've had this experience where you had to deal with your own health. You wanted to be you were super successful at work, but your health was compromised. You had to really pivot into your health first and then everything else. So tell me a little bit about what that experience was like for you. And then what have you created from that?
Awesome. So, while I was, when I was traveling around the world, leading seminars for Landmark Worldwide, which if you haven't done the forum, go do the forum.
Definitely.
And I completed being a forum leader just over a past year ago. So it gave me the opportunity to really look at what I wanted to do next. But the shift was, I knew I wanted to be connected to myself in such a way that I could create my next adventure, but from really taking care of myself to be consistent in my own performance. I don't want to get burnt out. I didn't want to exhaust myself. I didn't want to give up. I wanted to really take the time to nurture everything that's important to me. So now, to kind of come full circle, I work with individuals, I work with businesses, I've created dance experiences, cruises, retreats, I go into corporations to really empower individuals to get connected to the most important relationship in their life, which is the one they have with themselves.
Yeah, so powerful, so powerful. So what would be the first best step for people to take to do that?
Just really ask yourself, what do you need? What do you need to perform at your best? Do you need more spiritual connection? Do you need downtime? Do you need to be in communication with people and be honest about what you're dealing with? Do you need to reinvent how you eat or how you sleep? So really taking the time to creating a holistic, nurturing lifestyle that gives you what you need. So when you go into work or you go into your marriage or you're out with your friends, you're fully there present, being able to be with them, because there's nothing else draining your energy or focus.
And that's so important. So, what I'm hearing you say, and I would love to hear if you agree, is that you're ultimately setting the foundation.
Completely.
So I guess, in your expert opinion, why is that important to do?
Because without a foundation, nothing can sustain itself, including you. So I was talking to a friend yesterday who's a business partner in Miami, and we were talking about just this past year, we've both been doing a lot of foundational work on our business. Now, when you build a building, the foundation takes a year, which is equal to building the building. So when you have a strong foundation and how you take care of yourself, and I mean, this is self-care like 101. This is not, oh, I'm going to get a face mask, which is great. This is really taking care of yourself. So you have vitality, you have energy, but more importantly, you have consistency to ongoingly perform in anything you're up to. And it doesn't need to be significant. It doesn't need to be heavy. One of the questions could be, how much fun did I have this week? Yeah, so that's a little bit of the foundational piece. It's what you walk on.
Yeah, it's true. And without it, it's so difficult to sustain anything else if you don't have that in place.
Mm-hmm.
So true. So, you've spent a lot of time with people. You've spent a lot of time working on yourself. You've supported other people. What is your biggest takeaway that you see when it comes to performance and just creating this vibrant lifestyle?
The biggest takeaway is how connected you are.
Explain a little bit more about that.
Life. Are you just trying to get through the day to get home to dinner because you're already exhausted, but then you've got to take care of the kids, and then you're like trying to get to the TV, but you're really getting to bed? I mean, just like that whole consistent drag that sometimes we get ourselves into, or you put so much pressure on yourself to perform, the stress is getting to you, or you have a huge job or responsibility and you don't know how to give your mind real rest so you can recoup to go back in. So you've got to get connected to what? To your experience of yourself. And that is how I love to work with people in different facets so they can see what they need. And when you can start to see what you need, then you can start to plan for what you need and actually get in front of your wellness to take care of yourself so you can ongoingly perform.
Yeah. And what I love about the work that you do is that you have it laid out in such a way that nothing is missed. So you have the 7 steps, right? The 7 different areas of life that you focus on. Would you like to talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So this kind of just naturally uncovered itself with me. So the last year of foundational development work, I started to engage. All right, so there's this thing called me, this little thing over here called Jo. What is this Jo thing? And what does she need to be connected to her experience of her life? So it became my own development course at home, as you call it. So I started to explore different spiritual practices and speaking to different spiritual leaders or religious leaders and the last time I was even at church must have been when I was about 6 or 7. So I've had a real opening to discover what is my higher connection? What is that relationship that I have with this so-called thing called life? And so that's a piece that was missing for me that I've now started to develop, is my wellness around my spiritual practice. Then there is your outlook, your view, your mindset. What is, you look to the future, are you lit up? Are you excited? You look at your business, are you like in the opportunity, or are you in the burden of it? So our outlook and our mindset is so important in anything that we're up to in life. And how much do you tend to that? How much do you stop and examine, hold on a second, let me just look at this, and what do I need? Then there's your connection, like your connection to music, to life, to eating, to being with your lover, to, I don't know, just giving your dog a hug. I mean, there's like your real sense of connection. And I know you've got 2 puppies that you love, that you're very connected to, you can see by your smile. And then there's your physicalness, like your actual physical body. How are you? Are you just like, we spend so much time in our mind that we don't even sometimes feel the toes on our feet. So how much are you physically connected, and what does your physicalness need? And then your relationships, and then your creativity, and then your financial well-being. And how I've designed it is I've designed it through the 7 chakras. And I've related each piece to each energy of the chakra, so you can get a holistic view, an energy view, and a reality view to see what you need.
So powerful, so powerful. And also, those of you listening, that's going to be your little downloadable freebie that Joe is graciously provided. So, you're talking about every facet of life and how it's all intertwined energetically and spiritually, emotionally, physically. I mean, you're hitting every corner. So if you take the time to work with Joe, go through the 7 different areas, I can tell you firsthand that you are not the same person even after one session.
Sorry, Lori. And then you start to develop your own, I don't even want to call it self-care. It's real wellness. Yeah. But you start to develop your own plan for your own wellness to give you the energy, the connection, and the focus to really perform at your best in whatever you're up to. So this is really for you. And this is what's going to nurture you and have you really flourish and stay the course for 2023.
Yeah. Yeah. And we started this conversation talking about foundations.
Yes.
Right. And that's exactly what this provides. And half the time, guys, I've gone through this, so I could say firsthand, like I've experienced it. Half the time you don't even recognize that it's working. Half the time you don't even realize what you are putting in place, what you are taking away, where you're being more intentional. Once you have that realization of like, 1, I can make this change for myself. 2, it doesn't need to be the way that it is right now, right? We can impact some change, that you automatically start changing your behavior or adding things, removing things, like I said, that create the life that you want to live. And it's not necessarily a lot of effort. It's just more about being intentional. Would that be a right way to put it for people who may not have experienced that yet?
Completely. I mean, you're really treating yourself as one of the most important relationships that you have in your life. So when you start to honor who you really are and what you need, you just have a different outlook. You just have a different experience. And this is really about your experience of yourself. And I just want to take it one step further, okay? Because I think a big piece that this completely gets dropped out is that we sacrifice everything important to us to show up at work. Yeah. And it came to mind when you were saying this, I was in a co-working space just here in Sarasota, Florida. I live in Florida, and I met this guy, and I was sharing a little bit about what I did. And he said, oh, I said, he goes, I care about my team. I care about their wellness. I'm like, how? Tell me how you care about it. And he said, oh, I let them take Friday afternoon on if they want to do that. So they know that, I trust them. And I looked at him, I said, do you do that as a strategy, or do you do that because you really care about them? And it nailed him. He didn't look me in the eye again, because he knew that that's exactly what he was doing it for. So when you become interested in taking care of yourself and really seeing the benefits, as you said, Lori, of being intentional, and you start to see this new lease of life, is what I really kind of get to it, right? Then you want that for your team members. You want that for your business executives. Why are you going to sit there and see your VP of sales who's burnt out, stressed out, going through divorce, come to work and just suffer through it, versus, hey, let's just take time out here. What do you need so you can consistently perform, because I care about you as a human being? So this is the shift that I'm out to create in the world. This is my next mission, if you're listening in, especially if you're a business owner. When you start to take yourself on, you can create a whole new culture for work and people that is extraordinary.
Oh, I just got chills. I got chills. Like the impact, the lives saved, the lives changed, the lives that will become more vibrant out of this work is just limitless.
Yeah. And how much time do you spend at work?
Oh, so much time at work. So much time.
Exactly. So when we start to shift that from a place that's real, someone walking their talk, you walk the talk, I walk the talk. And I do. I don't work Mondays. I don't work Friday afternoons. If I don't feel great, all bets are off. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just talking about the foundational elements here. But when you stand for people taking care of themselves in the way that we're talking,
yeah,
that's just a whole different experience.
Yeah. And a lot of times people, the thought that comes to mind is a lot of times people are grouchy, cranky, not very nice, because they just don't feel good. They don't feel supported. They don't feel like, what's the point? What's the point of putting any effort into anything? Because it's not going to get reciprocated. But if you stand in exactly what you're saying of being intentional, recognizing the areas of life that maybe aren't working as well, and taking a look and seeing, like, how do I want this to go? Taking care of yourself, you will see people drastically change, and their attitude and their view toward their life. It's incredible. It's really incredible.
Yeah, this is a way for you to have a happy workforce that is not driven hard to produce results, but can be consistent. That they might not produce the big results straight out the gate, but once you start building some consistency, and they get in touch in this, it's going to impact performance in business in such a way that you wouldn't even believe.
Yeah. So true. So true. So, I mean, we could talk for hours. And
that's because we do.
And so what is the one thing that you would like to leave people with today? What is the one thing that you want to challenge them to do for themselves and their life?
Okay, so one thing that I really start working with clients on is they actually don't think they can live life like this. It sounds like a fantasy. Yeah, but you don't know my boss. You don't know my ex. You don't know how I am, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. But when you start to honor what's important to you, then you have a different life. So the one takeaway is, look, I don't know if you've spent years trying to make it to the gym, or you've hate your job and you're terrified of leaving, or you're worried about something going on with your body and you can't go get it checked out. Maybe this is the year for you. And if you're not going to take care of you, who will?
Exactly. Exactly. Joe, thank you so much for your time today. Now, how can people find you?
They can't.
Originally.
Well, I'm teasing. Like I said, oh no, actually that's not true. You all know I live in Sarasota, Florida. But no, right now I am, like I said, I've just done a whole foundational piece. So I'm starting now to venture out into businesses and corporations, and I'm having a free 45-minute come and get a bit more in-depth feel for this, what we're talking about, like what do I need to perform at my best? How can I be vibrant in life? And we're going to start to look from the 7 elements that we talked about, and then really see what stops you from really taking care of you. So we're going to do a little 45-minute taster on Wednesday, January 18th, and it's on Zoom. And we're going to put this link to the event somewhere here, I think, right, Lori? We're going to put it in there. And then that's the first place. And then at some point, it will be vibrantconsultancy.com. At some point this year, that will be up and running. Or you can just find me on Facebook, which is Joe Morris Benishu, or LinkedIn. So I'll make sure we get all the right info for you, to you. So you can find me if you want to, okay?
She's not going to hide out, folks. She's not going to hide out.
No.
So, Joe, thank you so much for your time today. This was beyond valuable. And on behalf of all of us, just thank you for the light that you are and for the mission that you're up to. And we are all in alignment. We are rooting for you for this to happen. And we just really are in a different place because of you. So thank you.
I love you, Lori. Thank you for having me. Yeah, and thank you for doing this for everyone. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.